Hold the show. I'm tweeting slander.
Holy Lord.
Hold on. I'm dropping some slander on the timeline, guys. This news is too fresh. Do the show without me for a minute here. I'm just getting ready. Oh, my God, we're live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go. Our long national nightmare.
It's a season now.
The profile
Our
photo.
long national nightmare.
Oh, my goodness, fellas. We have ourselves a show. We had a completely different show that I was actually very excited about. I was very excited to do that. Maybe that's tomorrow's show.
It was a 4.
It was a 4. I thought it was going to be a good one. But instead, we're going to have a trade to talk about. We're going to have a big trade.
A real
involving-
one.
We love trades.
We love trades. We love trade season. A real, actual, not a hypothetical, not BS reports. In fact, the opposite of that. Something nobody saw coming. To help me talk about it over here, I got the mustache man himself, Brendan Vogt.
Maybe we jumped the shark, fellas. Hard to say. Maybe we jumped the shark.
I do not think we jumped the shark. Over here, a man with immaculate vibes. It's D-Line.
Yeah, I had a pointed reason for wearing this shirt. Number 1, it's for the Rockies.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Number 2,
100 wins,
TBD.
baby.
Shout out to the Rockies.
First
man.
year with 100 wins.
Shout
out to the Rockies.
Rockies.
Is that what I heard?
It's always
100
sunny
wins?
at 20th and Blake, baby.
That's always sunny. It's technically true. And then over there, the man with the wind behind his hat.
Can't wait to talk about the biggest player move of the day. Rudy Gay to the Warriors.
Oh!
Any reaction to that one?
Let's go, dude.
Another veteran. They just keep. Those
Austin
guys.
Rivers has to be so pissed right now. He's got to be just livid.
Guys, we have ourselves an actual actually update on the Dame story. 365 plus days and counting. Because this really was going on last summer. And here we are now with finally a trade. Damian Lillard is going to the Milwaukee Bucks. What does this trade involve? Dame to the Bucks. That's the big one.
Yep.
Jrue Holiday is going to the Blazers.
Wild.
And then Jusuf Nurkic is going to the Phoenix Suns. Also,
I fell
DeAndre,
asleep.
sorry, Jrue Holiday and DeAndre Ayton. Now, this is really,
DeAndre Ayton's gonna
there's
go.
all these other
Yeah.
pieces we're going to get to, but if we talk players, Lillard to the Bucks, Jrue Holiday, DeAndre Ayton to the Blazers, Nurkic, Nasir Little, Grayson Allen, and Keon Johnson all going to the Suns.
Yeah.
My goodness, man. First of all, it's hilarious because this was never reported. I never saw a single rumor.
It's
that
always
didn't-
how this happens.
Of course it is.
Because if you're actually a good owner, you're actually doing.
Good
You're
GM,
not like, oh man, I just got off the phone with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell this idiot that wears sunglasses that I'm gonna.
Yeah. I got all the secrets that I'm going to
Yeah,
let him
I'm
to
gonna tell a
like
guy on Twitter. I'm gonna
40 different people
Gotta
around.
let him know right now.
Let's start it off, and I'm going to throw to you first, Wind. What's your instant reaction to this deal?
Well, my instant reaction is no NBA insider knows anything. Like I've told you guys on this show for months and months and months. Nobody knows what they're talking about. This is
Yeah.
more evidence.
Yeah.
But I'm immediately thinking about this from a Nuggets perspective.
Of course.
And from a Nuggets perspective, like I said earlier this week when we were discussing Jusuf Nurkic potentially to the Suns, this gives the Nuggets an even more open path to the NBA Finals. This clears the way, I think, because Jusuf Nurkic is, to me, a clear downgrade from DeAndre Ayton. And yeah, they got Grayson Allen, Nasir Little. I don't know how much those guys are really going to matter. The crux of this deal for Phoenix and the thing that matters from a Nuggets perspective is them swapping DeAndre Ayton for Jusuf Nurkic. Jusuf Nurkic is a bum. I think he's not a good NBA center anymore. And the whole league is going to see that this season now that people are going to actually be watching him play. This is great news for the Nuggets. This is a clear downgrade for the Suns. And man, like the Nuggets' road to the NBA Finals just got a whole lot easier.
A whole lot easier.
I think so.
Man, you're coming in hot. Not even like a small amount easier, a whole lot easier.
Dude, having Jusuf Nurkic at center, man, it's like not even having a center. I really think that he gets hurt. He's not a good defender. He's going to want his shots on offense next to Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. This is a terrible fit, I think.
Wind, I have a job for you. You're an NBA GM. There's a catch. You're in the Eastern Conference, and Nurkic is on your roster. Are you still interested?
The Phoenix Suns have traded away the only two decent defenders on their roster.
That's
Mikal
it.
Bridges and now DeAndre Ayton. And I feel like they are definitely worse now than they were before those two trades.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't know. I am not as much on the bum train as Harrison is. I think that
He's a bum. Jusuf Nurkic is a bum. He's nothing.
It's a hobo Willie on the train.
He's washed, dude. He's way past done.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The real issue with DeAndre Ayton is that he was just a little too delicate to play center.
And now you're going to Jusuf Nurkic?
He's as comparing those two.
Delicate, not from a health standpoint, delicate from just a toughness standpoint. You're saying.
He would be muscled out of every important rebound. He would be shoved into the underneath the basket, out of bounds, not at all in play. Jusuf Nurkic is not the guy that I would have focused on because he really has gone quite downhill in Portland. But I'm not 100% comfortable with this.
Yeah, I will say one thing about the Nurkic part here. Dame, by all accounts, is a really good leader and really took Nurk in. I remember when they came to Denver that first trade. I remember when Nurk did media, Dame sat with him. And I remember how goofy it was. But it was just one of those ones where he's like, I know this media contingent hates him. I know that this fan base hates him. I'm going to express support by just kind of being with him through all these things. And I know it was a little thing, but I took such note of it. And I remember how close Nurkic would always talk about Dame and how much he respects him. Nurkic is soft. Part of the story of his demise in Denver, part of it was inevitable. Another center came in and he saw the writing on the wall. But another part of it was he couldn't handle it mentally. Right. And he kind of fell apart and unraveled.
He's more mentally soft.
I think Dame really helped him. And I'm kind of curious to see what happens now that he goes to Phoenix, why did Ayton really fail there? Some of it's of his own doing. They didn't like him, man. They didn't like Ayton in Phoenix. Ownership didn't like, or the coaching didn't like him. Monty Williams didn't like him. The players, his teammates didn't like him. They openly berated him. And I look at that and I go, Nurk is going to need a Dame in Phoenix, and I don't know if he's going to get it.
Oh, that's a great. Yeah, it's going to be the same.
That sounds like you're saying
situation,
something different, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
It sounds like you need to find himself a lady.
Find himself a Dame.
The thing about the outcome of this Ayton situation for Phoenix is bad no matter how you slice it. You can try to understand it. You just set the stage nicely in terms of where things were with Ayton, and they were done. That doesn't mean it's a good outcome, right? The guy that admittedly different front office regimes that was taken ahead of Luka Doncic has now been traded for Jusuf Nurkic in the year 2023. That's a bad outcome. I'm not being a hater. That's a bad outcome.
Yeah, it is.
So that's not. I also think Nurkic, for whatever he didn't have in him as a competitor over the years, or had too much of in terms of, his attitude in the locker room. There was a time when he was a very skilled center with utility in the league. I think it's not that he holds none, but he's far past his prime. So I am with Wind. I think Phoenix's issue is that they couldn't defend Denver, and I don't see how adding Bradley Beal or Jusuf Nurkic makes it easier.
But how can he be past his prime? He and Jokic. I mean, Jokic is entering his prime.
Well, no. The thing is, I think what they're saying is that
his play has gone the wrong direction. But I don't know that that's not a product of the environment, either. In the same way that potentially Ayton is held back by the fact that people don't like him. I just think I know what I saw in Jusuf Nurkic, young Jusuf Nurkic. I know that
dude, that was 7 years ago.
I understand, but I'm saying if he was able to re-harness some of that, I can't completely write him off.
Here's a player like I think this is why I would agree with them, and even though I do think he's not as bad as they're making him seem, I would agree that he sort of peaked in value years back. is that the league was in an evolution under the time when he really took off. And I think that the specific things that he is bad at, namely touch around the basket, teams you just learn like, oh, okay, we don't need to overreact to him. We just need them to post him up more. And like now that's no longer an option. And I think it reminds me of players. I mean, we've seen players like Mo Spates, for example, was young, won a championship. It felt like he was a next great, off the bench guy. And it was like, no, he just was ahead of the curve. Now teams know how to play that type of guy and they've lost value. And I think with Nurkic, there's a little bit of that. He was good until teams realized, until the game evolved just a little bit further, and now he's mitigated.
He can help their offense, right? He's a good passer who's going to have number advantages often, right? When he gets a look at the basket, he is going to be in an offense that attracts a lot of attention elsewhere. He's going to help. There's going to be regular season utility there. We know that Phoenix.
If he can stay on the floor, if he can stay healthy, at least you knew Ayton was going to probably stay healthy for the most part.
I'm with you that it also almost doesn't matter. I think Phoenix is going to win regular season games. I think Phoenix is well above the threshold of competence. I think Phoenix's question is how do they match up with Denver? I don't think this move helps in that regard. I do want to quickly, guys. It's still John Horst in Milwaukee, right? Same guy who made the Jrue trade? It's the same regime, the same front office? I believe that's the case. This is the second time that Giannis applied some pressure and they responded.
And what a take. This is great.
First in Jrue Holiday and now in Dame. And so we spend a lot of time shitting on all these guys.
This is such a great take.
This is the second time Milwaukee has said, we got you, man. What does it take? We're not letting you leave. First getting Jrue, now moving Jrue. And so we can talk a bit about what this does for Milwaukee, but the first layer of it is they heard their superstar and they responded.
Can we pause? Okay, we can go.
I just have to say one more thing on Nurkic.
If
I'm with Phoenix Suns, man,
if
I'm the Phoenix Suns, it's about the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
It's about winning in the playoffs. It's about winning a championship this season.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about Jusuf Nurkic in a playoff environment, like I'm terrified. I am terrified of those prospects of what he's going to look like defensively. Can you imagine like how... Nikola Jokic is going to run that guy ragged up and down the floor. A lot of other opposing centers will. Like he's going to have to get in shape. He's going to have to stay healthy. He's going to have to like not be in the foul trouble that's plagued his entire career so far. Like there are just so many alarm bells with Jusuf Nurkic if I'm trying to trust that guy
it's true.
In a big game playoff environment. And you can say what you want about DeAndre Ayton. At least you kind of knew what you were getting from him a little bit until like everybody threw him under the bus at the end. The prospects of leaning and relying on Nurkic as really like your only center, he's like the only big man they have outside of Jrue Eubanks, who probably isn't a playoff guy. That'd be terrifying for me.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
The only other thing that I think about when I think about the construction of this team is that they, like everybody else, I think they're kind of punting on the idea of being able to contain Nikola Jokic. And they are removing a player that, Jusuf Nurkic clearly the fifth option for the starters, right? There's no more like, do we need to worry about the mid-range assassins? Do we need to worry, DeAndre Ayton, he's going to post up here. Jusuf Nurkic, you can be like, get under the basket, get on the block, stay there the entire time. If we're going to pass the ball all around the perimeter, and then maybe it'll make it into you. More than likely, though, you're going to be feeding Bradley Beal.
And you'll probably miss it when you get it. But
but it's
that's
like
the thing is that's what I'm talking about. How things evolved from him. He's not good enough at finishing. He's like Gobert almost around the rim.
No, I know, but it's just
like
sometimes
Ayton
you just
series.
we're so accustomed to the center focused play that this is like almost like this is just a big guy that almost kind of gets out of the way and like can provide some of the things that they just did not get at all.
Phoenix should have gotten Clint Capella. He would be a 10 times better fit than you.
I agree. I'm with you on this. I can at least understand the thinking.
Here's where I split the difference between you guys is that to me, Ayton, Nurkic, they're almost the same guy to me in terms of their functional impact, specifically on the Nuggets. Ayton a little bit more of a better jump shooter, but to be honest, the Suns kind of seemed upset every time they had to give him a jump shot. So now
they
it's
have
like
other jump shooters.
Yeah, they have and like he was really good at it. I remember when you made the mid-range assassins one or whatever, there was 4 mid-range assassins, and I just remember being like, no, there's not. Ayton's not part of the mid-range assassins group. Like he is, but they don't want him to be.
But you're talking about those are 4 guys that are all like like exquisitely deadly from mid range specifically. Like that is their skill set.
I
Like,
no, I get it. I'm just saying
I
they
know what you
don't
mean.
want to brand him. It's almost like it does work, but they wouldn't want him to be in their club. Like they would never do the picture with him. But my point is, to me, it's kind of a net neutral, that trade, with regards to the Denver Nuggets. Ayton, I think, was wholly solved by Jokic by the time they met in the playoffs and made no impact. Nurkic, I think, is wholly solved by Jokic and will make no impact. But the key that makes this worthwhile is, well, if you're going to trade net neutrals, you might as well pick up some other things along the way. And they did. Are these great players? Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, Grayson Allen? Not really. But they just needed guys. They're not terrible. Grayson Allen can play. He's like a good player. He's a guy that is capable of, I don't want to say winning you a playoff game, but not losing you one. And that's the thing that I
He
think
could give you a Christian Brown type of impact
100%.
in a playoff game. He could do what Christian
What
Brown.
a comp.
Why'd you pick him
Yeah, what an
specifically?
interesting comp. That's like, yeah.
Well, I see it more as
I'm
Bruce
not
Brown,
the first
but-
one to make that comp, but he can do what Christian Brown did in, what was it, game 3 against Miami?
Of course, and that's what they needed. To me, one of the reasons I thought Denver, I wasn't too scared of Phoenix, was I just didn't think they had 8 guys, and they're going to need 8 guys. They are closer to, if not actually having 8 guys now, than they were before this trade. And is Nurkic an upgrade or a downgrade on Ayton? Probably a slight downgrade, but I think it's an upgrade just that they have 8 guys. And that, to me, is why this is a win trade for them. Even if I'm not sitting here going like, oh, no, Phoenix,
I'm
no.
gonna push back. I don't know, obviously, every deal that was available to them, but my framing is this was Phoenix's last chance to make a significant upgrade. I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Well, 2 things on that. Actually, we'll pause that. Let's go to the break. On the other side, I do want to talk about the idea of, was there a better deal out there? Was there a better deal now? And
Also, Jusuf Nurkic is not a good defender.
he's not,
not.
but
No, he's
neither was
not.
Ayton. So that's why I say it's a scratch.
Ayton was not a good defender.
He was
to
better.
Jokic specifically. I think that it was
There was a time in the world where Jokic said that Ayton gave him the most trouble defensively, and Jusuf Nurkic is a guy that Jokic just absolutely licks his lips and just clowns and fouls out. And
guys, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. That was literally Jokic's greatest ever playoff
but
series.
I mean, we're comparing to Jokic.
You're right. You're right.
He solved him.
He did. I'm looking at it at a different angle where the Phoenix Suns are going to play 82 regular season games and probably a team or 2 before they play the Nuggets in the playoffs.
Right.
You can't rely on Jusuf Nurkic for that. You could, I think, rely on DeAndre Ayton for that more.
I think that is fair. I think that's very fair. But again, I'm primarily looking at these things through the lens of the Nuggets.
Neither can guard Jokic.
And that's
no
why,
one can
and
guard
that's
Jokic.
Yeah, but there are guys that can. I mean, it's
can
like, do you
slow
take him
him.
down from a 10 to a 9 or to an 8? And they don't. He's going to be at a 10.
Yeah, to me, it's like they're just like, we just have to outscore them.
They have to outscore him, and maybe this will help him. But
On 2-pointers.
yeah, but let's hold on, because I want to come back to this point. I also just want to talk to the point that we talked about earlier, which is like, they added Grayson Allen too, which is kind of hilarious as well. Another hateable player.
Yeah.
They're trying to build the most hateable team ever assembled. Let's talk about that on the other side.
I love this trade. AG1. Look, if you are looking for more energy in your daily life, better gut health, if you want to optimize your immune system, check out AG1. All you have to do is wake up. That's the first step. Go to your fridge, pull out your AG1, put 1 cup of it in a cup of water, drink it, boom. You are good to go. You'll start feeling the effects immediately. Like I said, if you just want more energy in your daily life, you want to feel alive, check out AG1. Tons of vitamins and minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens. It's lifestyle friendly, diet friendly. No matter what type of diet you're on, AG1 fits with that. So go to drinkag1.com/nuggets. drinkag1.com/nuggets. They are going to hook you up with a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Start off with AG1 today. drinkag1.com/nuggets. drinkag1.com/nuggets. Check it out.
And you can keep it rolling with that morning routine with a little Nutrafol. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Head to Nutrafol right now. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering you, our listeners, $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/nuggets. nut.com/men and enter the promo code DNVR. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. That's NUTRAFOL.com/men. Enter promo code DNVR.
Also, AG1. When are we going to come out with AG50? You know what I mean?
Dude, why stop? AG1 is still going.
Well, Aaron Gordon version. Oh, whatever.
Somebody just hopped in my messages about this is for you. What do you think about MPJ and KCP for Holiday and Grant?
I'm gonna burn this fucker down.
Do you think Nurkic is available?
Wait, can we get Nurkic in this too? I love the idea of trading MPJ for Jeremy Grant. Like, this is how you know fan bases are just inherently horrible. And I'm sorry, I'm not even going to call out the guy who put this one, but I love the idea of the player who has, like, against all odds, sacrificed and done all these things to be here, being traded for the guy who wanted out to get more shots.
Let me check my notes. It was 16-4. They went to the playoffs. Was that recently?
Jeremy Grant, who wanted nothing to do with the Nuggets.
Dude, do you think they could get Matisse Thybulle in that deal too?
Oh man, Matisse Thybulle.
They do need some defense.
Like perimeter, big, long defender.
Guys, I think I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to call it because there's a part of me that respects the hustle, but I think Matt Ishbia might be crazy.
He's a wild boy.
He's a wild boy.
He's a
I
wild
respect
boy.
any owner that cares about their team. It's one of the tent poles of you just want your owner to care deeply the way that you do. And I genuinely think Matt Ishbia cares as much as the PHNX guys care about their team. Guys and gals care about the team. He cares. But that's a double-edged sword, and this is a wild boy. He is trade drunk.
I mean,
was he like just getting antsy? Like, man, we haven't made a trade in a while.
It's been like 12 weeks since
let's get on the phones up. Pick the phones up. Let's go. Like, let's get talking. Let's get some conversations going.
Do it, new coach? New coach? Should we do new coach?
I would say,
two-way. Anybody?
You know what's aged really well is coming into clean house in Phoenix and then showing up with Isaiah Thomas and Mel Tucker courtside.
Oh, I'm telling you, wild boy.
That's how you rehabilitate the image, baby. That's all I got.
So there's definitely that layer to all of this about the owner. Phoenix still. What was what we were going to talk about?
Grayson Allen, which I think is a good point to bring up.
They are hateable. They are incredible. Nurkic, first of all, is like one of our least favorite players. As we talked about earlier in the week, we've kind of grown away from hating Nurkic just because we've forgotten about him. Guess what? No longer. This is like in a sitcom when they bring back an old villain or an old fling or something because they're like, you remember when we had good ratings a couple years back? Let's bring that character back. Let's rebrand it. Let's bring it back in.
Grayson Allen and Jusuf Nurkic.
To go with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. It's a loathsome team. This is a loathsome team.
Is Matt Ishbia thinking about us and all of this?
He clearly is.
All right, we need to make a trade, but we also have to satisfy the DNVR Nuggets crew.
No, you know what it is? It's when
got to give them something to talk
Jokic
about. We got to get them going
by bringing him the ball. And remember, Ishbia was so uncomfortable that he just like rolled the ball away. He didn't even throw. He just like like it was a hot potato. Like I think at that moment, and then after those next two games when they lost by, I just want to remind you guys, 41 combined points in two games. And by the way, both games featured a late fourth quarter comeback by the bench units of the Phoenix Suns. It really could have been 60 points over the last two. But I think at that moment he was like, I hate Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
I hate him. Who also hates him? I got to get all those guys.
Yeah, you really at a certain point, like when you find yourself in direct opposition of the sun god, you have to be like, well, I'm the devil. That's the only way I can win. I have to go the exact opposite direction. I have to find the most hateable players in the league. I can't beat him at being a good guy, so I have to find the other direction. It is amazing. As much as we we were making fun of the idea that trades are really just for entertainment value and blah, blah, blah. Man, goddamn, this league, you know what I mean? This league, this is like pure WWE stuff. This is like, I cannot wait to see these two teams line up. This is unbelievable.
We're going to hate this team. We're going to hate them. I mean, we already did, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We are going to hate them. But do you think the rest of the NBA is going to hate them?
Well, first of all, I think the rest of the NBA hated when the Suns made the finals, and I can't explain it, but I'm convinced every fan base and every team hated the Suns in the exact same way that we did that year.
Chris Paul carried a lot of that weight,
I know, so that's the thing. This is a new kind of ship in Phoenix. I think they're going to be more well-liked than they were previously.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Do
Unless you're
people
just saying,
like Bradley Beal though? Just off the top,
The Suns are
a good question.
the real Hoopers team.
That's the thing. I think they kind of get
The
that.
real Hoopers
like,
of Twitter
bro, except
unite to
like
the
that
Suns.
show Speak, like the worst version of those shows. They're gonna love this squad.
Really?
Oh, they're gonna talk about them daily. I
the only
promise.
thing is, like, here's the thing, man. It's the same way that Embiid was like Philly's champion, and then he goes down sad, and then everybody hates him. The Suns have gone down sad 2 years in a row, man. They've gone out really, really, really sad. I feel like there's a little bit of if you're a real hooper, you're a little bit like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to tie my...
Real Hoopers don't care about championships, though. They just care about buckets.
But this
But they
is.
didn't get 8 points. 8 points in an elimination
But
game
this
for
is
Devin Booker.
this is what the Suns have in their benefit or working for them at this exact moment in time is that none of us can imagine at all what this looks like. Like
I know.
these are like every year they bring it like so the arc of this current Suns being hated storyline is like they start off get way ahead of schedule
Way
and
ahead,
they talk like they've been there the entire time
And they have Chris
take
Paul.
on
And they have
but
Chris
that's
Paul.
what they take on the Chris Paul like small dog mentality,
Yeah.
big bite or big bark rather. And then they get humbled or whatever, and then they just keep reloading, and then they bring in.
Then they bring in KD.
Then
and it's
they,
a
then they
different
go.
team.
Into, then they go into mercenary mode.
Yeah.
And like that's like that's like people don't generally like that, but it's also like Kevin Durant has sort of like proven him or made himself into a villain in this way, where he is just a mercenary that goes from place to place and then talks like he wins the championship every year. So everyone's like, all right, enough. And then you bring in another guy, and it's just like I don't know what this team looks like. They will benefit in this offseason from just the idea of these names that you're putting together like it's a fantasy basketball team.
Yeah.
And everyone's
And
like, oh
that's
man, look,
why-
24, 38, da-da-da,
Yeah.
da-da-da, da-da-da. Like they're just going to get a lot of
and
slack.
that's why they're likable, I think,
They're
to
likable?
the average NBA fan.
Really?
I think the average NBA fan really loves the idea of the Suns, and they will love that idea maybe until the playoffs start or we get to like February or March. Like, oh, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Jusuf Nurkic, all on the court together. How's this going to look? I can't wait to see it.
Right.
But the problem is that stuff only lasts for so long. And then you actually get to it mattering, like when you get later in the regular season and into the playoffs. And once they start to disappoint, I think it's going to switch to hate.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I don't know. Like, I mean, to bring this to a very local level, this was like when the Buffs were assembling. You're like, is this good?
Yeah.
That seems good. Like, these are all and like, now it's like, are they good? I don't know. But like the swell of this idea of like,
Except the only difference is that the Buffs were 1-11, and so there was a level of like anything is good relative to that. The Suns were title favorites. Like they were starting from a point where the expectation is up here. So I don't know, man. This is a really interesting one for Phoenix. I do think it's going to make this rivalry go to another level. And to circle it back to Nurkic, I think Nurkic is going to have a regular season game that is phenomenal. I think he's going to have one token
For sure.
like great game against the
still
Nuggets.
got it. He still got some of it.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I do think though that he is a bit of a phony and a bit of a. Honestly, here's what's funny. I think he's DeAndre Ayton, personality-wise. I think they're very similar, very immature, very soft mentally. Like kind of need a little bit of extra love and attention from your main guys. And I just wonder if they'll probably tolerate him for a stint. But I just think going into a playoffs, Booker, Kevin Durant, all these guys are going to feel the same way about Nurk that they felt about Ayton in a lot of ways, where they're
I agree with
I
that.
just hope it doesn't come down to this dude.
And there's this idea in the NBA, and I think every NBA front office thinks this way. They look at a guy who they might think, is a little undervalued. Maybe he's in a bad situation. Maybe he's been on, non-playoff teams, but there's something there. And every NBA front office thinks, man, if we could just get that guy into our building, it can be different.
You think that's true though of the Suns?
I think there's some of that. Absolutely. I think
Wild to me.
I think part of them is looking at Jusuf Nurkic and saying, man, look at what this guy was. But, he's been on some really shitty teams in Portland. They have been trying to win. Let's get him back in a winning environment with some, all-stars around him. He's going to get back to being the defender he was back when D-line remembers him as that guy.
Hold on a second.
I think that is part of what the Suns are thinking with this.
Why would they feel that way? First of all, hold on.
Because this is how NBA teams think.
So you think it's just an irrational they feel this way?
They think, let's get this guy into our building and we can rehab him into what he was.
So you don't think the Suns feel they have an especially good culture? You just think they have the same delusion as most ownership groups
I think
that
that's
they
something
think it.
to this, yeah.
Because to me, I don't look at the Suns and say, "Oh, that's a great culture." First of all,
It's not
what
a
is
culture.
That's what I was going to say. They have a new coach.
Zero culture.
They have a new GM. They
Yeah.
have a new owner. I don't know what their culture. They have a new team. So to
Dude,
me, I
I
look
can't-
at them and go, I don't know what their culture
I
is.
can't believe I have to make a "All the Suns Are Evil" shirt.
All the Suns are evil. I'm not even saying that. I just say it's this Suns team to me is very strange. Do we want to? Is there any other takes we have on the Phoenix Suns portion of this?
Well, I think you have to say that Grayson Allen is a playoff rotation
He
guy.
is. No question about it.
He is. I mean, he's been in the Bucks playoff rotation the last several years. I mean, just last year in the playoffs, they did lose in 5 games. He averaged 30 minutes a game for Phoenix and, played pretty decent from what I can, or for Milwaukee and played pretty decent from what I can remember. So he'll be a playoff rotation guy. That being said, he's a mark that Nuggets can go after defensively, and I think other teams will.
Apparently, Jimmy just dropped some video talking about how the Bucks were tampering.
Yeah, he's just joking. But
he's
Jimmy
just
is
pissed
the
that
best.
his front office couldn't pull off the deal.
I also think, man,
but Grayson Allen's a playoff rotation guy.
He's
Wait,
also
Jimmy Butler?
Yeah.
Grayson Allen is also a playoff rotation guy that you don't cover in the playoffs. In that series,
He's the guy that you make him beat you.
yeah, you're fine if he's open in the corner in the playoffs. I think.
You know what though? I mean, they already had those guys out there, and now at least you have one that's like a much better
that's a good.
scram.
I think the fill-in moves there help them. I think they've added rotation caliber bodies and some guys that can play. A guy that can play defense.
All right. So to summarize, we think we are split on just how impactful this will be, although nobody feels it is supremely impactful. Just moderately good or moderately bad. It does make them significantly more hateable.
Yes.
And it brings
that part is not even debatable.
and it does bring Nurkic back into our lives in a way that we did not necessarily expect.
He never
a month
left
ago.
our lives.
Ever
kinda
since,
did, though, man.
since the Nuggets conquered the Blazers in that playoff series,
left our lives.
when they started
It's true.
Facu Campazzo and Austin
And they
Rivers,
just fouled him out every
we
game.
haven't really thought about Jusuf Nurkic, or I haven't, but now we think about him again.
Dude, I'm telling you, we said it right the other day. He is Piston Honda. You fight him once, it's the 3rd fight, and then you come back around on the 7th or 8th fight. and
The
here he
greatest
is
part
again.
the greatest part about all references to Mike Tyson's Punch Out is that when you scratch 1 centimeter of
we're
the
not
surface,
going to do
you're like,
that. We're not going to do it. We're
well,
not gonna
that's
do it.
deeply
No,
racist.
It's just the thing we used to do in the 80s, man. It was just the game we used to play. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, I'm going to go ahead and posit that we spent 2 segments on the wrong team. The Suns do make an impact now on the Nuggets' title chances, for sure.
mean, that's the
but
one
not
that matters
nearly
to
as
us.
much as the Milwaukee Bucks do, who Denver might be facing in the playoffs. We'll talk about them on the other side.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Breckenridge Brewery is the official beer of DNVR, and the beer of the month here at the DNVR, the Broncos Country Pale Ale.
70 ounces.
Check it out. You can drink 70 ounces of it if you want. It's $6 a beer here at the DNVR Bar. The beer of the month, the Broncos Country, $6 here for the entire month, which is only has a couple days left. So
I hear it's Caleb Williams' favorite beer, though. That's the thing I've heard. I've heard it. I don't
I would
know
like
if
to
it's
get.
true.
I'd like a tank of it. Just a full tank of Broncos
Is he old
Country.
enough to drink beer?
It doesn't matter.
you can also try out some of our other favorites here at the bar: the Avalanche Amber, the Mile High City, the Funslinger, the Good Company Hard Seltzers, the Juice Drop IPA, the only IPA I've ever liked. You can get that all here at the DNVR Bar. If you don't know where to get Breckenridge Brewery, check out the Breck Brew Beer Locator on their website. Type in your zip code, shows you where to get Breck Brew. Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR, Broncos Country Pale Ale, the beer of the month at
Let's
the DNVR
go.
Bar.
Let's go.
If you get hurt and it isn't your fault, you are not out of options. In fact, you've got an excellent option in Backus and Schenker. Head to coloradolaw.net or just call 222-2222 to set up a consultation. Why should you do that? Well, you may be entitled to compensation. And the biggest barrier between you and seeking that compensation, fees, a whole tangled mess of being involved with lawyers, not a problem here. Backus and Schenker will not charge you to speak with them. They will not charge you to take on your case. They're only going to charge you if they've won your case. And they do that. They've won over $1 billion for their clients. Whether it was a car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, truck, or even an incident at work where you were not at fault, call them at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Shanker, they're winners, baby.
They win. All right, we are back here, segment 3 now.
We
spent a lot of time on the Suns because they're our rival. We kind of hate them and
We
all these
also
different things.
we love talking about the
We
Suns.
do love talking
If
about the Suns.
Backus were to trade Shanker
Oh my goodness.
in the same vein of what the Suns just
He's
did,
untradeable, man.
would they come back with the strong arm? like maybe not. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Milwaukee Bucks. We're talking about the Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks, the surprise winner. Now, I love your take, and I do kind of want to circle back to it, that Dame has successfully held Milwaukee's feet to the fire twice now. Giannis. What did I say?
Dame.
Giannis has twice held the feet to the fire. And I also find an irony in the two guys who have sort of early in their careers branded themselves as loyalty guys, Giannis and now Dame, wind up together in Milwaukee of all places. And then the last layer of this that I just find so deliciously hilarious. Dame said he wanted to go only to a contender, and that was the contender was Miami. Early on, it was Miami or bust. I'm not going anywhere but Miami, and if any team trades for me, I won't play.
I love it.
This is by far better for him than Miami.
Yes, this is-
Miami they weren't going to win with Miami. I kept looking at the potential trades, going like, whatever, same team, different dressing. This to me is a very compelling team for him to land on.
Just from what this means for the league overall, and sort of like how much the NBA is willing to acquiesce to the demands of the superstar that demands a trade. Like, yes, we don't own you, but I like that they're just like, but you don't get to make every decision.
Right.
Like, we'll trade you. That's fine. I got it. Like, understandable. But to me, this is like the NBA one, in a sense here. With this, it's like it's a message that
true.
you can't just be like, this is what I want to have happen, and it's going to happen, and that's just it. And I'm the superstar, and that's what it's going to be.
Does it remind you of the Kawhi deal, like where Toronto was just like, we're way off the radar. But you know what? F it.
I honestly expected Toronto to be the one to land Dame Lillard.
So
just for
did
that same
every
reason.
NBA newsbreaker.
Me and them on the.
You guys are all tapped into the same line.
We're on
it
a
looks
Discord.
like.
We're on Discord.
Vogt, what do you
You guys
think?
are all hearing the
What do you
same
think of team
sources.
loyalty?
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Giannis didn't say he would leave. Giannis said he needed a reason to stay.
Yep.
And they gave it to him. I do think back about to LeBron leaving the Cavs the first time, which was probably in the works for quite a while. But I do remember, hey, I'll stay if you get me some help. And they got him Antoine Jameson. And he's like, all right, guys, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's so true.
And this is John Horst doing what needs to be done. 5 firsts for Jrue Holiday. If Kevin Durant has a smaller foot, we talk about that as a trade that was very costly to their future. Instead, the Bucks won a title. Giannis is still there. Taking another gamble here. I mean, it's not as big a gamble. I actually kind of think it's a no-brainer given the pressure Giannis applied. But he went out and he did it. So for me, there are a couple of things. It's a win for markets like Milwaukee. But also, I have just decided in my mind I'm going to level up the way I view this Milwaukee front office. They have earned some benefit of the doubt, and they've impressed me in that regard. So I know you wanted me to rant about loyalty, but that's my honest.
No, I didn't. I was just joking.
But, like,
I was
yeah,
not trying to
yeah.
set you up.
Can we discuss? I don't see this as a great fit.
Why?
I don't know that those two playing styles between
I disagree.
Giannis and Dame are that compatible.
You're thinking of Giannis more as a ball in his hand point
Well,
wing, but what about him as a center, which is something he's
It's
evolved
possible.
to more and more?
It's possible. I just know that when they are at their best, it is just that Giannis is running downhill. It's that, like Dame style. Obviously, the styles will bend. They'll find the best way to play together. But like, I watched the Milwaukee Bucks get over the hump and win the championship because Jrue Holiday's defense was incredible.
No, you're missing the other part of that, though, I think. Do you remember what happened to him that year that was different from every other year? Giannis played center, and in close games in the stretch, Middleton ran pick and roll as the ball handler, and Giannis was just screening and rolling, and Middleton was just dominating. Dame now provides two guys that, to me, run pick and roll. You have Middleton, who's really tough to guard in that situation. He pulls up mid-range. And Dame, who's one of the best pull-up three-point shooters in the NBA.
For sure.
And now you have Giannis. The thing about, when we're talking about Nurkic and Ayton is, all right, you're passing to guys who can score, who can post up, but they're kind of clunky. They're kind of awkward making reads. Giannis is a point guard rolling to the basket. He is going to be really hard to contain as a roller while also going to one of the tougher guys in pick and roll
But
coverage.
their offense has never been in question.
I disagree
Their
with that.
offense hasn't?
I
think that's their problem.
You think so?
The thing that
When
changed for them in the
Giannis got hurt, like it was a question.
No. I think you're misremembering their arc because one of the things that happened was Giannis was always the go-to guy in the clutch.
Sure.
Because to be the best player on a team, you have to be the closer scorer. That's not Giannis's skill. When
True. 'Cause you
Middleton
could just build
became
the
the
wall.
guy and he became the this is a thing LeBron never did that he actually could have done. He never became the role. He's like the greatest pick and roll man in the history of the NBA, but he hates doing it. Giannis determined he was going to do that. Middleton hit all of the clutch shots in that run, and it was great. And I just think this gives them now two really, really hard to guard pick and roll ball handling options with one really, really hard to guard center rolling option.
We'll see.
I think the Bucks just became the favorites in the East. I think
they already were.
I think they hit a point where the equation changed, right? There was a point where they absolutely needed Jrue's perimeter defense. They got it. I think Jrue's a little older. Some years have passed. If, in my opinion, Milwaukee has a problem right now where they need Chris Middleton to be their best player in the final 4 minutes of a game in a half-court offense. I mean, I think Giannis is a literally generationally transcendent player. I think that's a fair knock on him. The possession that he had where he just threw it away, I mean, that was so. And their problem has been they've needed Chris Middleton to be that guy lately. I think the Jrue move was the right move at the time. I do think everything's slid a little bit now where Milwaukee needs a little more offense. And I think Dame provides a lot of offense. I also think this provides the rest of us a different look at Dame where for the first time his defensive deficiencies, which are worth talking
Honestly, I
about.
said it's super hard to build around him, but I think Milwaukee's a rare example of a team that
when
could
you have Giannis and Brook Lopez, I
Right.
mean, it's a different equation, right? He didn't have that in
We'll
Portland.
see if Brook Lopez has that same impact though now without Jrue. I'll go ahead and go there.
That's a fair question.
I think that this is to D-Line's point. They're the best defensive team and a really bad offensive team, and this might lower them from being the best defensive team.
I think
it raises them way up from being so inept offensively.
When they were at their best, it was not that. It's not what you were talking about. It's like they did not have offensive problems when they were at their best, and they had stout.
They
defense.
did. No, they did though.
But
they scored like open court and they scored in regular season. But you get into a playoff.
I mean, I'm not as sold. Like you guys are sold. I'm not as sold.
They're the number one defense. Is how they won.
Here's the thing.
I got to see it.
Here's the thing. The Bucks just got embarrassed in the playoffs. They lost in 5 games to the Miami Heat.
5.
They couldn't stop Jimmy Butler. Yes, I know Giannis was hurt, but they obviously needed a big shakeup. I mean, you can't really look at what happened in that first round and say, yeah, we can just run it back. I feel like they would have been foolish to do that. This is the type of shakeup they needed.
So,
go ahead, hold on.
And when I'm thinking about this trade, I mean, the first thing I think of from a Bucks perspective is Damian Lillard and Giannis can be the best duo in the NBA. That is an unstoppable pick and roll.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard and Giannis in the two-man game is unguardable. I mean, you
really
can't
is.
go under Damian Lillard on a screen.
You have to go over. You're going to have to rotate hard.
Giannis rolling to the rim? Are you kidding me?
That's the hardest roll,
Giannis
man.
in the short roll?
That's the hardest roll man in the NBA.
It's unstoppable.
And it's a high pick and roll with
It's
Dame.
the second best pick and roll ball handler, I would say, to guard, and the first hardest roll man to guard.
Yeah.
I mean, Jokic is probably the first hardest roll man to guard. But it's a little different in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's also probably the
that
first hardest pick and roll
combination
ball handler
is
to
going to
guard.
be absolutely
insane,
lethal, absolutely unstoppable. So I think it's an amazing fit from that perspective. We'll see how it looks in the playoffs defensively with Dame.
The defense
That's the
is
biggest question
big
because
question.
Milwaukee's identity for so long has been just as a lockdown defensive team. Like that's been their calling card. That's been their MO. And I don't think they are that anymore. But I think offense now is more important than it's ever been in the NBA. And you need that type of dynamic ball handler like Damian Lillard
like
is.
the Suns, we look at this from the Denver perspective. From the Denver perspective, the Bucks did not scare me at all as previously constructed. Even the title champs who earned it, right? Like, and earned the respect of the
scared
league.
me.
From the Denver matchup, the old Bucks did not scare me at all. And I was fine with them running things back. They might have made it to the finals. I think Denver would have handled it. I think this is a different matchup now. And the Bucks are a team that I didn't want to see that matchup change. I was very comfortable with it. And maybe we still have reason to be. but I think the Bucks just got better in a way they needed to get better. So it's scary.
The Bucks scared the hell out of me last year. Like they absolutely
Not as a
did.
matchup for Denver. For
I know,
me.
I always like the Denver
I always
matchup.
like
I mean,
that
this
matchup.
is all easy now because Denver did what
We
they
said
did.
this
but,
before, though. It's
Yeah,
we're on record.
we
and
thought
like,
that for
whatever. I
years
mean,
and
that doesn't
years.
mean it would have played out that way. I just like that
Drew
team
is-
was like
Denver
really.
is tough on pick and roll though, and Jrue Holiday's like not a good.
I
pick and roll
understand.
threat.
I understand. It's just like, Milwaukee was like it's easy to think that like they were not a good team last year because of the way that they've.
It's not even about them not being a good team.
You wanna know
Specifically,
also, by the way-
I'm saying specifically a Denver
Denver
matchup, but I think
matchup,
there's a
yeah.
reason that Jokic always has his most historic games against Milwaukee.
I think
You
it's
wanna hear
different.
the updated line on Bet365.
Let's hear it.
Your new favorite to win the NBA championship, the Milwaukee Bucks.
I get that
plus
one.
350.
I get that one.
Denver Nuggets plus 450. Boston Celtics plus 500, and the Phoenix Suns at plus 600.
Man, read that again one more time.
Milwaukee Bucks plus 350.
That's real. That's pretty short odds, man.
Very
for a
short.
favorite.
Because
Very
the East,
short.
Because the
You're right. There is a
It's
part of
the-
this. There's only two teams in
the
the
East
yeah.
favorite having better odds than the Nuggets is part of that equation. Is they have a better.
I've been hearing
chance of
some good
making
buzz
the
about the
finals.
New York Knicks this
Oh
summer.
my
though.
God, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, they're not
There's
in.
some buzz.
They're not in here. Yeah, Nuggets plus 450, Celtics plus 500, and Suns plus 600.
Man, that's so interesting.
If you want some silver
Who's
lining,
after that?
The Warriors at a pretty precipitous drop at plus 1,200.
We're the Knicks. Just
They are not.
I'm kidding.
Not
I'm
featured-
kidding. I'm
Unranked,
kidding. I'm
unranked.
kidding. Don't waste your energy.
Oh no, they're plus 5,000.
Okay.
Kyle Neubeck of PHLY reporting that Philly is interested in Jrue Holiday.
Well, they should
that's
be.
the other part.
They better be.
Let's just do this real quick because we don't have a ton of time here. But
Oh my
that's the
goodness,
idea.
totally
Is Jrue
gonna-
Holiday buyout candidate? Is that
Yeah.
where this goes now?
I don't think buyout.
or trade
I think
candidate.
trade.
Does he only
He's
have
gonna
1
be
year? What does he have left?
in
I'll look that up for you.
Yeah,
Oh my
look
God.
at his contract.
Har-
James,
Harden in
James
Portland?
Harden would not be able to physically get to Portland.
Portland, dude. Portland,
Like
Portland,
he would not be
No,
able
no,
to
don't-
find
no,
his
you're
way.
wrong.
Portland
Hold on.
has the highest density of strip clubs in the entire country.
This part. Did you know that?
What?
Yes.
I know it's
I
the
thought it was-
craziest.
I thought it was Tampa Bay.
No,
Nope.
It's a huge strip club
Brother,
culture
they-
out there.
they
It's
are
the weirdest.
so-
Adam, I think these are different strip clubs than James Harden's interested in going to.
They are. They are.
But it's
It's
still a
true.
fact.
It's
I think they're
Actually, I
slightly
think you're
different in their clientele.
Jrue has a player option
and
next year.
experience.
So Jrue has a player option
Next year, but it's 37
it's a
million.
huge freaking.
So I'm
well,
thinking.
I mean, you could do that. Harden and Jrue.
James Harden
Let's
probably
just do
thinks
this.
Portland, Oregon is in
What I'm saying is Drew's going to take that
Asia.
option,
You think he's going to take it?
no matter where he goes. Drew is 30,
Drew's a unique guy, man. I
He's
don't know.
34 years old, and it's a $38 million option.
Yeah, but he could probably get a big deal, especially if he has an impact year this year.
All right,
and
fair
like
enough.
if you
All right.
go to
I don't know
if
anything.
you go to a Philly, would you be afraid of an Embiid, Jrue, and Maxey trio, big three?
I think they'd be good. I wouldn't fear them, no.
I feel like that's pretty good, man.
It
Jrue-
is really good.
I feel like that's actually kind of intriguing.
Embiid.
And
And Maxey, you're counting on Maxey to make the leap. You're counting. It really
Your
depends.
playoff offense
It
is
all depends on
troublesome.
how you
Doesn't
feel
move
about
me that
Maxey.
much.
Your playoff offense is in trouble.
And I don't
And also
feel
Drew
amazing
Holiday,
about
playoff
Maxey.
riser, James Harden, playoff evaporator, and it's-
Joel Embiid, playoff non-participant.
You're right, but you have a
actually
guy in there that you're like, this guy when the chips are down you can count on. And
Jrue?
Drew and Maxey, honestly, like Maxey showed out like when the times were tough, and Joel Embiid and the two top ends of the Sixers like just absolutely disappeared.
One thing I do, Drew masks so much on defense, and he is an incredible player. He's also flies under the radar as a horseshit shot taker on offense, I think. And I think if your playoff offense is in crunch time is like Maxey, Embiid, and Drew, I actually don't think that's very dynamic.
It's not, but I mean, Embiid is a good defender, as much as we like to joke about it, and
Yeah.
and Jrue is as good of a
a good
defender
point.
as you
That's a
get.
great
So that's
point.
like,
That's a great
and that's the most important thing is your point and big in pick and rolls. Like, can they contain? And I just think those guys would actually make a good. Like, if you're playing Denver, I think that there's only a handful of players that really concern me about guarding Murray, and Jrue would be one of them. He would make Murray's life really hard.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Embiid is good enough to, I mean, even though we think Jokic can score on anybody, Embiid is harder than, say, Nurkic.
Right.
So I just think it's two guys that match up with your best players in a way that could make it hard.
Yeah.
And then it's just, the X factor is just as Maxey go off.
Man, we've said the name Nurkic on this pod like so few times over the last couple of years. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's
we're
back.
about to say it
He's
so
back.
many times.
He's back,
Can
man.
we-
It's like we're redoing an old season of a sitcom.
The Suns locker room hated.
I hope he just puts on a mustache. He's like the new guy.
It's like the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 of a new season when all of a sudden it shows up again and you're like, what? Back from season 2?
Let me get this right. The Suns locker room hated DeAndre Ayton because he didn't play hard.
Yeah.
Not a good work ethic.
He's just a Gen Z.
Was soft. Not.
He's a different
fully,
generation than them. I'm saying is what it is.
Doesn't live in the gym. And
he's a little
now
weird.
they had those complaints, and Jusuf Nurkic is
I'm telling you.
coming into that building.
I'm
now.
telling you. They're going to love him until they hate him.
I have one more angle on this trade too.
All right,
but
let
I
me
don't know
hear
if we're. I'm good on Portland. Dame tried to hold them hostage. Miami tried to hold them hostage. I think people are going to feel differently about the return, depending on how you feel about Nate and Reset. But I would prefer it to Tyler Hero, and more importantly,
you're right.
More importantly, a line in the sand on the bullshit. Right? Like enough's enough. You know who didn't feel like they owed that to Dame? Miami. Portland. Now they did get him
they didn't owe him
and they
anything.
They actually perfected this, and whereby they did not bend the knee to Dame's demands.
But they
yet
did still
also
get him
did
what he
right
wants.
by him.
They did right by him, and
They
I
did it
think they got a
perfect.
better trade. And I just think this is
Yeah.
good for the NBA.
Hey,
Like,
Because now
it is
Portland
good for the
can say,
NBA.
Yeah.
now Portland can say, we did do what was right for Dame in the end.
Yeah.
We wanted to get the best deal, but we
Correct.
also wanted to send him to a place where he could win a championship, and they did. And they now can say that they did both.
and the next time a star tries to demand out in the first year of their contract, there's precedent for a team going, I don't like your deal. The deal
Right.
you presented us.
Right.
I'm the GM.
Tomorrow, vote it. Although you're right, tomorrow it's definitely going to leak. Like James Harden still wants to go to the Clippers.
Of course. Yeah. but then if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm going, what are you going to do? Call me a liar again?
Right.
But the other problem is actually nobody wants.
That's
James
the
Harden.
difference.
There
But I thought
were
this
some
was
teams
good.
who wanted Lillard.
This is a good outcome. And I have to admit, the trade moved me in the end, but I also get to hang on to one take. All those updates we got the entire time, the Bucks weren't in any of them, man.
Yeah.
Not
This is the
more than
real
any of
take. This
them.
is the real take. What an interesting trade, man. I will say one piece we didn't talk about, maybe we'll save it for tomorrow, is DeAndre Ayton is a #1 pick. He is a good player. He is young, and he does go to a division rival. I don't know that we're going to care about this immediately. Like, I don't think we're looking at the Blazers and this or that, but, they do have the foundation of a young core
Yeah, they
now,
do.
which is somewhat intriguing for down the line. So
They do.
that'll be a story for another day, not today. On the other side, though, we do have to get to our never ordinary top 5, even though that our show changed at the last minute. We do still
Top
want
5
to
trade requests.
no to lingering trade requests.
top
No,
five
top five
Damian
bump.
Lillard destination.
top 5 bums.
top 5 bums. We'll get to that on our other side.
Shady Rays, guys, take on the sun with gear built to last. Shady Rays, the best sunglass company around. If you just go to shadyrays.com, scroll their website, you'll be there a while because they have so many different styles, every color sunglasses you could want. No matter what style you're into for your sunglasses, you can get that on Shady Rays. You can use the code DNVR, get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You lose or break your Shady Rays on day one, they'll send you a new pair. They have great customer service. They really care about you as a customer. So you can go to shadyrays.com, use the code DNVR there, get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. You can also go to their actual physical location. If you're in Colorado, if you're in Denver, they have a shop at Park Meadows Mall, south of Denver, south of downtown Denver. But you can go there, check out your Shady Rays in person. But if you just want to check them out online, shadyrays.com, use the code DNVR, 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses.
Holy smokes.
Man, that is awesome. You can wear those Shady Rays if you have to go outside and pick something up and you weren't thinking about it and you recently consumed some Kind Love. Kind Love is one of the first dispensaries in Colorado. They've been around since 2010. The original boom, baby. So they know what they're doing. Known for cultivating some of the highest quality cannabis in the state. I'm not just reading from a script, friends. I've smoked it.
I don't know how to read.
I like it. Yeah. Not only do I not know how to read, I've tried this stuff. It's very, very good. And by this stuff, I mean some of their many items that are available. It's a full, extensive menu that you would come to expect from every dispensary, of course, but they also have their own game-changing new products like Turbo Core. We've told you about that. It looks like a toothpick, except it's weed. It's pretty sick. Visit one of their stores in Cherry Creek or North Denver, mention DNVR, and receive the DNVR exclusive discount of 25% off. Ladies, fellas, if you recreate in Colorado, you know what I'm talking about here. It's all about finding your neighborhood discounts. I get it. None of them are going to beat 25% off. That is a fourth off your pod every time. Go to Kind Love to get it. It's worth it. Use code DNVR for online ordering and their full extensive menu.
Alrighty, back here, final segment. We are just a few days away from Media Day. I love this. Look, don't you always love when a show falls into your lap and like the season starts picking up? There's these storylines.
Yes.
That's about to come for us next week as we do Media Day. That's going to be all day Monday. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. You're going to want to check it out. But as we prepare for that, what is it we want to learn about Media Day? Before we get to your top 5 here, Wind, somebody was asking
My
us...
top 5 Portland strip clubs.
our top 5
I got some
our
records.
top 5 questions for Media Day.
Okay.
We're sticking to the original plan here. Media Day is an interesting one, and I feel like the thing about Media Day, because there's not a lot of like intel that is shared, but I do feel like there's a lot of reading between the lines you can kind of get.
Well, you always get the overarching message from Michael Malone.
Michael Malone has to set the tone.
Michael Malone is so calculated when it comes to these things, and I can guarantee you he has the theme, the tone, the kind of word he wants to put out there that's going to shape what he says Monday at Media Day and just kind of shape the Nuggets season.
Here's
I'm
the lock.
excited to learn that.
Here's the lock, Wind.
Should that be your top 5?
Hold on. Here's the, yeah, what is he going to say? Here. I told our guys, the championship was last season. That is old and in the past. If you want to sit there and rest on your laurels, the rest of the league's coming for you. That's going to be the message.
What about we were the hunters
There you go. This
for
is
these
on
last
there.
several years.
Yep.
Now we're the hunted, Adam.
Yep.
Now we're the hunted. And we've never been the hunted before.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how our guys react to that.
It's a new challenge.
Now, there's a lot of guys out there that they become satisfied when they win. For me personally, I'm not a guy that's satisfied. I just get hungry.
Adam, you know what Jeff Van Gundy told me when I was working for the Knicks?
And so my question
Never be satisfied
Never be
coming off a
satisfied,
championship.
yeah.
And I've carried that forward with me
Yeah.
to this season.
and that's what I asked the guys today. What kind of team do you want to be?
Yeah. When my
I
father,
gotta run. You guys gotta stop. I'm gonna throw a wall.
when my father was the assistant coach for the Bad
Detroit
Boys Pistons,
Yeah.
and they won.
Adam, as you know, I coached LeBron James in Cleveland for a long
That's
time.
right. Yeah.
And he, coming off, the long finals runs that he came off, he was never satisfied.
But he's never satisfied.
I hope he sees this and doesn't answer any of our media
He has
day
no
questions.
answers.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't
We're
know
like-
that's DNVR.
Yeah, we're
He's like,
like,
that was my whole speech. They just like
yeah. We come over like, we're not doing media day. We're not allowed there.
we ruined it, guys. We ruined media day.
We lost
We're
all of our
joking
credentials.
because they're somewhat predictable, but at the same time, man,
But
this
we
is-
love it.
We do love it, and it does remind me. Oh God, I hope Coach Prime fans are not watching. But it reminds me of how much everybody got outraged at the Oregon coach for just saying what every coach in America says at every football
Yeah.
game before.
Yeah,
Those guys over there are bad, but us, we're good, and we're gonna run through.
Do
a
you
wall.
want it? They think they
They
want
think
it.
they are not.
Do you want it?
Those guys are fake. Us, we're real. Now let's get out there. And everyone's like, how could he be so offensive? It's like, guys, have you ever played football? Have you ever
This is
seen
our
a
house.
coach? They say the same shit.
That's like the most. That was like the most G-rated thing I've ever said.
So G-rated. They're playing for clicks and we're playing for wins. Like, yeah, of course. This is a line you would use in this scenario.
It's a bar too.
It's a bar, but it's
Sorry.
also the most obvious
Yeah,
bar
of
that you would
course,
say. Oh, I can't believe it, man. I'm so offended. It's the same with the Lakers, though, with Coach Malone. Like him having fun at a parade.
Yeah.
Oh, he needed to be humble about us.
To be fair, Malone did his own thing that I haven't seen before, which is after game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, basically went, those guys ain't shit.
Yeah, well,
into the microphone.
He was our Draymond.
Yeah.
I remember Draymond
Yeah.
was like, he did the like, LeBron, nope. Warriors, yeah.
What are they going to do? Play D-Lo?
But the greatest thing is that it was right.
Yeah,
It was
it's
right.
Oh, that's
It's the best.
That's why it's incredible.
That's the point. These things are like, you do set
the
narratives
best.
and they are
Yeah.
also corny and true. And that's the thing. All
So
right.
great.
But there is also real pieces of information. And Wind, you're going to walk us through it on our Bet365 Never Ordinary Top 5.
This is going to be a good one.
My number 1.
Don't make
Wait,
this
you're going to
ordinary.
start with number 1?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
Let's-
My number 5.
Let's go.
Right, Kale's number 5. Yeah. He's like, I made these graphics.
My
and I'm very
number
specific.
5 media day question. Is Jamal Murray going to pick up where he left off?
Oh. How would we learn this at Media Day?
if Jamal Murray comes in and says, I'm going to pick up where I left off.
Okay. So it's his swagger.
I've been in the lab all summer.
I think you want to hear like the words in a way we haven't seen before. I think you want to hear Jamal looks more ready, looks chomping at the bit in a way I haven't seen him this time of year.
Yeah. I mean, the way the year Jamal Murray starts is if, he just hits the ground running. Day one of training camp, day one of the season, if he is so locked in, if he is in playoff mode from day one.
What do you want to hear from Jamal Murray at Media Day? Understanding the setting and what you can learn.
I want him to be a jerk to you guys. I want him to
That is actually how I might get confirmation that it is
I want him to come in.
365 has that at a minus 5,000.
I want him to
know when Jamal Murray's a jerk to us, he's locked in.
That's what I'm saying.
What we want.
I want you to ask him very simple, basic questions. He knows what the answer is, and to look at you like you asked him why he has two heads, and to be like, what are you talking about? I've been in the lab all summer. I don't need to keep saying that. Why are you asking me these questions? That's what I want. I want full jerk Murray.
Yeah, I do too.
I kind of want to hear, even if it's a lie, I kind of want to hear, he was pissed that he couldn't go for Team Canada. He's ready to go right now.
That's that part. These are all locks. You guys are talking about the locks. I will say this, the jerk to the media thing, okay, whatever. I get it. There's a difference, though, between also declaring what's about to happen. I would kind of like to see a slight declaration. You don't have to be a full thumping your chest, but I would like a sort of this is going to be my best year.
Oh, I am.
You know what I mean? Hey,
I want this is going to be my best year, and we're not satisfied.
Yeah.
That's what I want. An all-star this year. A statement. That's a statement.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of stuff I think would be
he just needs to be oozing confidence and not
confidence.
Not like in years past where it feels like a cover, but coming from a place of you see it in his face I actually don't want to ask any more questions.
Yeah.
Should we ask him if he's back?
Are you back?
Jamal, do you remember the bubble?
Yeah, could you be Bubble Murray this year? Could you be Bubble Murray? He's
because that was your peak.
That was your peak with the bubble, and then
Jamal,
he just literally kills you in front of everyone. I think I think all of those things are definitely part of it. I want to see the confidence. Last year, if you remember, I mean, he was confident and obviously backed it up with the championship. But in Media Day, him and Yoke both kind of actually lowered expectations.
It was more of I'm just excited to play again.
And then there was just all of the but it's going to be a process. It's going to be long.
Yoke, he's going to suck for 20
He's going to suck for 20.
Yep.
All of this stuff early on in the year. And I just wonder if this year, you don't need that this time. You don't need to temper expectations. Guys, it was a short offseason for us. We need to pace.
It could very much be, we're going to repeat. We're locked in from day one.
Yeah.
Mindset.
All right. What else we got on the docket here? Number 4.
My number 4 question.
Let's just go to one.
For Media Day.
Okay.
What's the second unit going to look like?
Are we going to learn this on Media Day, though?
What are the position battles?
All right, you're right.
What rotation spots are up for grabs?
Last year we didn't really have position battles. You're right. Now what do we have? What do you want to hear on that front?
Well, Christian and MPJ. Let's get that out of the way.
I told Michael Porter he is not guaranteed a starting spot.
We talked to Mike. He goes, he didn't say that to me. The full Will Barton.
So true.
That was my favorite.
There's a small forward position battle?
Position battle.
Oh, that would be the worst omen, actually, as if on Media Day Malone was.
Or if Aaron Holiday comes in, he's like, I just want you guys to know.
I just love that it's not even the right Holiday, but it doesn't matter.
I want you guys to know I'm a starter on this team.
I'm a starter on this team. Yeah. Oh, that would be unbelievable. But you think that'll be addressed in the at Media Day?
I mean, it's a question I have. These are my questions.
It's a question.
I might ask that question.
You're like, they will be answered. I'm sure you have that.
Here's what I'm curious on that front, which is I think the same thing. How does Malone talk about Peyton Watson? Because I think and Zeke Nnaji.
Wait for question number 2 for that.
Isn't it the same as this one?
Sure.
All right.
No, keep going.
I was just going to say, does Michael Malone talk about Zeke Nnaji, for example, as a guy that is penciled into the inside track, or does he talk about him as if he has to beat out DeAndre Jordan, he has to beat out these other characters?
I mean, I think Michael Malone will probably approach it based on my 8 years covering him and how he approaches these things. I think he's going to go into Media Day and training camp with very much of there's a lot of rotation spots up for grabs, and I'm excited for the competition that we're going to have for spots on the second unit.
hold on.
I think that's how he'll phrase it.
New Magic Johnson tweet just dropped.
Okay.
The Phoenix Suns just got a lot better and much deeper roster with Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. The Lakers are the best in the West, followed by Phoenix and Denver behind them.
Let's go. Let's go, Magic.
Magic.
Let's go, Magic.
Yeah, but I think Michael Malone's gonna open it up for competition on his second unit at Media Day. I think that's the direction he'll take things.
All right, let's go to number 3.
My number 3 question: what is Michael Malone and the Nuggets' overall approach going to be during the regular season? And what I'm wondering here is, are they going to come out and say, we're trying to set a new wins record? Or are they going to say, we're going to, we're not going to be like super desperate in the regular season. We're going to, look to rest guys. We're going to look to experiment with lineups. I'm curious which one of those approaches they're going to take.
Yeah. You should, when we're done with this, we should email them this top 5 so they can prepare for these questions.
That is a good.
That'd be a good idea. D-Long.
They could actually just write in the answers underneath and email it back to you.
I'm curious about that as well, because you never want to say that it's a long season and like we might, we're going to try. But I am curious to see if that's what we hear about. Hey, we are now a postseason team, or if it's like, no, we're going to go out there and try to make a statement and whatever. The hunter versus the hunted or whatever is kind of an interesting one, and that's part of I think this whole overall zeitgeist. Do they consider themselves the hunted, or is it like, no, we're going out there to make a statement?
Because it's like, if you try to say, yeah, we have to build really good habits and be a top 5 defense during the regular season, you can't really say those things anymore. We know you don't have to be a top 5, even a top 10 defense during the regular season. Like, Michael Malone can't come out and say that because it's just not true after last year when we just saw them flip the switch. Yeah, you have to show those things, and I think it's easy to forget now, but there were very specific games, especially in the second half of the regular season, where the Nuggets balled out defensively and we saw what they could do. And that did show up in the playoffs, but you don't obviously have to be a top 10 defense to win a championship.
Yeah.
I am curious if Michael Malone makes that like last year. I wonder if he comes out and declares it.
He can't. You just don't need to be.
Yeah.
They don't
I know,
need
but
to
he
be.
also can't be like, look, we can take November off and March off. As
Yeah,
long as you guys are playing.
Can we fast forward? Boring.
Just
like-
really bring it in December, fellas.
Somebody asked him a question, like, regular season?
Yeah.
We're talking about the regular season.
I will say
Just
this.
starts laughing.
Especially with respect to the second unit, this is just such a different second unit than anything Denver's had. There's not a lot of veterans. And I just wonder if Malone acknowledges that part of it. Like, this year is all about getting Peyton and Christian and Zeke up to speed and ready for the playoffs. Or if he doesn't, he's never really said things like that.
Yeah.
But
it's just
he's
so
done them. He
clear
just
that
hasn't said
that
it.
is the only thing that's uncertain right now.
This year, it's just so much more clear. I mean, as much as he can say there's positional battles, he knows he doesn't want Justin Holiday to win that battle. Justin Holiday winning the battle is a loss for the Nuggets. We know what he is. We're hopeful Peyton Watson can become better than that, and that's the whole idea. All right.
To that point, my number 2 question.
Oh, God.
How much better did Christian Brown and Peyton Watson get over the summer?
Were they in the lab?
Were they grinding? Have they taken the leap?
You know what I don't think I have seen in the last couple months?
Mixtapes?
Mixtapes, but specifically a good look at Peyton. Because one of my takes on him is that he looks like a young guy. He just hasn't. I mean, he is. It's not a knock on him, but he doesn't look. You're in the league a couple years, you just get a little bit bigger. I haven't seen him lately.
Maybe he's gotten 0 dark 30, just off all social media.
Great advice.
Not that, look, there's nothing lamer than the off-season muscle watch on an Instagram post, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's hilarious and fun. But I am kind of curious just to see if he looks like a 20-year-old.
Best
or
shape of my
21
life.
Does he? Yeah. Does he look like? To me, he's always looked like a 19-year-old. He's always looked young.
The one,
Please.
you know who I actually fell for with best shape in my life? The one thing you can't fall for, of all people, Trey Lyles.
Really?
He looked really strong one year, guys. He looked real. You know what? He's playing well
He's
for
never
the
had
Kings.
any muscle definition.
I don't know. There was one year.
You know who's
Best shape of his life,
You know
he
the
told me.
funniest muscle watch though is Zion. because Zion is such a guy that on any given photo can
is
look like the
wild,
fattest
dude.
guy on earth or the most ripped
Or
Hulk
the
on
single
earth.
most impressive.
Like, when
size.
he's in the gym and curl half curl, he looks like Hulk.
Zion is the NBA player I feel most kinship with in this way. I'll see a photo of myself and be like, Jesus fucking
what
Christ.
the hell
And then I'll see
happened?
other one and be like, okay.
thing is,
Like, that was the same
Zion
day.
has Paul Bunyan disease, and every time he can't move because something's torn, people are like, "That guy's fat." I'm like, "No, that guy's growing at a rate the human species has never seen before." Not the same thing.
I'm so curious. I mean, we already revealed it, right? The number 2, the Peyton one. Yeah, I'm just so curious to see the Peyton story unfold here in the coming weeks. And part of it starts with kind of getting a look at him and just kind of, sizing him up.
Yeah, seeing how tall he is.
Seeing how tall. Has he grown this offseason? He's young enough he could still grow.
Get a good eye test.
Yeah, just stare him in the eyes, really
Just
get a
really
good
get a
feel for
good
his
feel
height.
for the height.
What is
Yeah.
Michael Malone going to say about Peyton, in your opinion?
He's going to talk about how he has to learn still.
So you think it's more chopping him down than building him up?
I
know what I mean? It's
definitely
weird. It's like, I don't know.
definitely do not think he's going to come in and say, yeah, Peyton Watson is like a
lock to play.
lock.
Yeah.
But I do think maybe the message is it's a big year for Peyton
Yeah.
Watson.
Yeah.
I would
That's the
anticipate,
message.
I would anticipate a Mikeian arc with the way that
I was just gonna say that, man.
because that's with Michael Malone, it's like you got to come in. He is. We'll say this every time until it's just understood by everybody. It's like he is a sergeant. He works in military structure. Like you have the grunt that arrives, that is the rookie that has to earn his stripes, that has to, find his way in the natural pecking order in the locker room, and then it is his job to make sure that that player stays humble and has to work for their supper. They can't come in entitled. I mean, I don't think that Peyton Watson is this way, like because Mike came in like sort of a different, he had like some kind of soft tendencies that Michael Malone felt like he had to address and needed to be coached up. But we saw like Peyton Watson can go off script. Granted, Summer League, like what is the script in Summer League? But there's like a little bit of that in him. So I imagine there will be like you are saying, like this is going to be a big year for him.
I think I know
but
what
we
the
got to
line's gonna
learn
be.
how to fit in here.
I think I know what the line's going to be. It's going to be Peyton Watson can be a really big part of what we're going to do this
Yeah.
year.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
There it is.
It's up to him.
He can be a really big part of what we're trying to accomplish this season.
yeah.
That's the line.
It's up to him. It's up to him.
What about this? Are you interested in what the players say about him?
Yes.
Always, yeah.
What do you expect, though?
They seem to love him.
No, but I mean, more to the point, the questions are probably need to be, what's your message?
How big of a year is this?
What's your what do you think about Peyton? Have you had conversations with him? Do you view him as a, is there something you feel you need to do to get him ready for a playoffs? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm very curious
Yoke will hate
about
that
that.
question.
But I've got to think somebody like Aaron Gordon's going to have something insightful to say about that. I
Yeah.
could see Jamal having
I
something
can't
insightful to
tell
say
him how
about
to
that.
be.
Yeah, I bet that
For him.
But
That's a
you
question
gotta
for him.
know it. But if you put yourself in the shoes of a Nuggets player, like a starter, like you got to think that, P. Watt's going to be in the rotation.
for sure.
Like you got to think in the back of your mind, like, this is going to be interesting. Like we'll see how he does. I think he's going to be good, but we'll see.
Maybe they view it differently, but I really do feel like there's never been a more obvious we need him to be good, but he has to earn it.
Yeah.
Like Christian Brown. It turned out that was actually true, but it wasn't acknowledged at Media Day because if he wasn't good, they would have just rolled with a different guy.
Right.
But in this one, there's no different guy. They need him to be good.
Exactly.
I actually do see the Mike parallels D-Line was bringing up here. I also wonder, and this is pure speculation, I do not mean to set a narrative here, but I think this is worth asking out loud. Peyton comes in as initially a very, very highly regarded recruit who already has relationships with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. He is, by all accounts, a professional, but we know he has lofty expectations for himself, which is good. But is it an approach of reminding, like, hey, man, you're not there yet. This is what we need from you. And just maybe trying to keep what could be a really growing self-confidence, I want to say in check, but maybe more in line with what the team needs from him in that moment. And so I just wonder if it'll be a bit like Mike in that way.
Yeah. All right. Number one.
My
Highly
number one
anticipated.
God,
question.
dude.
My number one media
How are
day
the
question. What is Nikola Jokic's state of mind entering training camp?
Bro, I hope Jokic comes
Same
out.
as every year.
I hope Jokic comes out and he's like, I'm gonna suck for 20 games. He's like, I didn't work on anything this summer.
Cracks open a beer.
He's like, so anybody see Brennan Lamar this summer?
He honestly should bring a beer to media day.
What if he brings us all beers? We all enjoy a beer together.
I was talking about, I said this in the group chat the other day. I don't think you guys replied to it, but I don't expect it at all. 0%. But it would be a cool curveball if Yoke came in just like in peak physical condition and motivation, and it was just the biggest shocker to all of us.
That'd be so awesome.
It would be the coolest thing. We're like, oh, all right, let's go.
It'd be so awesome, man.
But I expect the opposite.
I
think we all
I would
do.
give it like 20 to 1 odds. That's the opposite.
Brother, I missed the game so much.
I will say this: none of this stuff matters, though, because I would say Jokic's presser last year was probably the least run through a wall presser you could have possibly
so
gotten from him.
depressing.
It might be worse
Just
this
He
year.
sit behind
literally
a wall.
said they're not going to be a top 5 defense. They're Jamal's going to suck. Like he said everything that you're like, oh, and then they won a championship,
Right.
Easily.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Like going away.
I'm expecting him to have the worst press conference of all time.
You think?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
totally.
All right, I will say this:
If he's there.
if
He's gonna have
if he's there for it.
he's gonna have an all-star game performance version of a of a press conference.
veteran NBA players talk about this is the dog days for them. Like, do you have to suck it up and get through preseason and training camp, and
Yeah.
it sucks to go through. And like every year, I think for Jokic it gets a little bit lamer because it really is like repeating freshman math, where you're just like, I have to go back to geometry. Like, oh my god!
I will say, I would repeat freshman math for $300 million.
Yeah, with a smile.
But
on my
what if
face.
your option was to get the 300 million, but not really?
No,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
I
not
get that.
convinced. I'm not convinced. I wouldn't approach it the same way I did the first time.
Just don't do the
also.
homework.
Yeah.
you can show
Right.
up late.
That's what I mean.
It's
Like I would do it, but I probably would still doodle the whole time, and I
Yeah,
would still
yeah,
get.
yeah, totally.
I get the same D.
I have to
this
say,
is why Michael Porter's like, I feel like he's the worst student in class.
Right, yeah.
It's like,
That's
just
actually
because he's in the
was.
back doodling.
because Mason was out playing his ass that training camp. That's the real team.
Mason brought the apple every day for sure. Raised his hand for every question.
I do think this stuff doesn't affect Jokic's bottom line. I still don't like it, actually. I don't want to make it seem charming. It's not charming. He's not being asked to plod into the coal mines. He'll be okay.
so true.
You know what I mean? Suck it up is actually the fucking.
I'm telling you, actually, here's my real hope. Again, if we're doing fan fiction, and again, the odds of this one are also 20 to 1. These are way off. But my hope is, you know how you make training camp fun when you are the genius? Your responsibility isn't to go through the motions. Your responsibility isn't to learn coverages and to learn terminology, which he actually already knows. Even if they changed everything, it would take him 1 second to learn it. It's to become the teacher. And this is the real value of a vet in training camp. It's not about Yoke. It's about Julian Strother and Hunter Tyson and about those guys and about Peyton Watson and this or that. And Yoke, I think, could both make the biggest impact on the team and probably entertain his mind, which I think is the thing that gets bored at this level. He could entertain it, should he choose, by becoming the Yoda to those guys. And that's what
Right.
training camp's about.
Dude, good
There's
Star Wars
that-
reference.
Oh God! But there's that. There's also like
That's the
them
most
just playing.
obvious.
Yeah, just I'm happy.
It's them
for it.
playing spike ball and like just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in that thing
Right.
where it's like you know like you just want to enjoy fellas a little bit.
Can you imagine if Yoke, instead of going to a Padres game this year, what if he takes him out to the tracks?
Yeah.
Bro, Del Mar Racetrack is not a far drive
Dude, our
from
fan-
San Diego State University.
Our fan fiction is so
Del Mar
weird.
is right there. I was there this summer. I went to Del Mar this summer. It's right there.
Wait, should the fellas go for our San Diego trip? Should we
Bro.
do a little trip to Del Mar?
Dude, so down. So extreme. Why not? Let's keep hopping fences where Jokic has been. Just kidding.
But
That's
I mean,
that's a
how
joke.
cool would it be if Jokic does embrace that and we get a story about maybe from P-Watt and he says, yeah, you know, Jokic took me out to dinner last night. Me and him chopping it up, talking about what's at stake this season, talking about what we need to do this season to be successful. How cool would that be?
This is the most optimistic we're going
yeah.
to be about media day.
Yeah, it's like, I just wanted to come back and hang out with Aaron, man. I just wanted to be back
Yeah.
with
I want
Aaron.
to go out get some ceviche with the fellas.
with the fellas.
All right, we have some super chats before we get out of there.
I am so sorry. I'm not going to be able to read your name. I don't know, but I think Miles Turner is best in guarding Jokic. All right, sure.
Yeah, actually, that would have been a trade I would have felt was a lot.
I think it was
better.
more expensive though.
You know who's
that
the
was like
good
a 1-to-1 trade.
I think Ray Martin is his name on Twitter, or X Martin. He pointed out the real answer to this is just whoever is competent and only has to play Jokic like twice a year.
It's true.
Because
Oh,
once you,
right, right,
once
'cause once
Jokic
you
just
play him,
plays you
yeah.
4 times, you're just like everyone else.
This is the the single truth.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Okay,
That's why I don't buy this. Like I'm like Miles Turner. He has had success, but come on,
sure.
it's not a playoffs. It's a
Ken
fucking
Patterson, how long
Indiana
can Denver
game.
keep the big four? Jokic, Murray, MPJ. Thank you for including Mike. Joker, Murray, MPJ, and Gordon together. Who will be the first to go?
Well,
The beauty is they could keep them together forever.
Yeah.
That's the beauty.
but I will also say that is one thing I was thinking about when this Jrue trade went down was that if you were to ask me what the core of the Bucks is, it's Jrue, Middleton, and Giannis, and they just won a title 2 years ago,
Yep.
and now here the core broke up. So it's one of those things that's the real truth that extending a prime for a core player like a Giannis or like a Jokic often involves trading out people who you felt like were untradeable just as recently as a year prior.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a great point.
If the Nuggets want to pay for it, they can keep this team together forever. They can keep those 4 together forever. They can.
Yeah. As long as as long as you keep drafting well, and you keep building your around your core, you keep your core together forever.
Or as you know, if it were up to you, you just trade Mike now. Some of you, but at least the Suns didn't get Miami's role players.
That's my favorite though. I love
I can't wait to watch how terrible the Suns are going to be defensively.
Does this knock Keita Bates-Diop down in the depth chart?
Oh no! What about Bol? Why would I do think about Bol?
Oh my god, this is so weird, guys. Big trade happened. Finally happened.
Hey man, we're free.
Are we?
Well, are we on Harden watch now?
Yes.
Have you guys heard who's interested in Harden? The latest. Have you heard what the insiders are saying?
You know what's awesome is even the insiders are like, you know what, screw that.
I know. Now we have to to point the laser beam at James Harden. Oh,
I know. Like,
But now, doesn't it give free reign for everybody to just throw out ridiculous destinations?
I'm hearing Denver's
I'm hearing
Denver's
James
interested.
Harden to the Hornets.
you know what I'm hearing? Dubai.
You're talking about a guy who's a 10-time All-Star being traded for Jamal Murray, who's never made a single All-Star game. This is a clear win for Denver, you guys.
24-46 in the
All right, everybody, hit that like button for us on the way out. What a fun one. Just 2 more shows before
This
the
was the
offseason's over.
closest to real basketball we've had in a while.
So close. We'll see you tomorrow.